Today, we're diving headfirst into a political firestorm brewing in Washington, D.C. The sparks are flying between two formidable women, Karoline Leavitt, the newly appointed press secretary for Donald Trump, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the progressive powerhouse from New York. The drama unfolded when Leavitt's actions seemingly contributed to a federal judge issuing a restraining order against the Trump administration. This all stems from a confusing memo released by the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, that froze a staggering $3 trillion in federal funding. The move sent shockwaves through the political landscape, with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle expressing outrage. After the OMB rescinded the order, Leavitt added fuel to the fire with a tweet that read, "This is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze. It is simply a rescission of the OMB memo. The president's EOs on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented." This tweet appears to have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Federal Judge John McConnell, in granting the restraining order, specifically cited comments by the president's press secretary as a contributing factor. Enter Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, never one to shy away from a political brawl. AOC took to X, formerly Twitter, to lambast Leavitt, retweeting a reporter's note about the restraining order and adding her own scathing commentary. "In case you're having a bad day at work, remember that at least you're not Trump's press secretary who tweets were so bad today she earned the entire administration a federal restraining order," AOC wrote. She didn't stop there, continuing to mock Leavitt with a sarcastic, "Keep talking and tweeting, girl. You're doing great." AOC had already criticized Leavitt earlier in the week, responding to the press secretary's post with, "To end any confusion, we are going to say one thing and do another. This is why you should not trust a word this White House says." New York Attorney General Letitia James also weighed in, describing the situation as more confusion and chaos. The OMB memo, had it gone into effect, would have halted taxpayer dollars from flowing to a wide range of programs, including education, healthcare, housing assistance, and disaster relief. The administration claimed the freeze was necessary to ensure that publicly funded programs aligned with Trump's executive orders abolishing the government's DI agenda. However, the ambiguity of the memo sparked immediate backlash, with concerns raised about its potential impact on essential programs like Medicaid and SNAP. Leavitt, at just 27 years old, is the youngest press secretary in White House history. Her first press briefing was a baptism by fire, with a packed room of journalists firing questions from all angles. Despite the intense pressure, Leavitt remained composed, displaying a command of the facts and avoiding any major gaffes. So what does this all mean? We have a young, relatively inexperienced press secretary thrust into the spotlight, facing off against a seasoned political fighter in AOC. The clash highlights the deep divisions and intense political battles that continue to define American politics. The restraining order against the Trump administration is a significant blow, and the role Leavitt's statements played in it will undoubtedly be a subject of intense scrutiny. This is just the beginning of what promises to be a captivating and consequential story. In our last segment, we left off with the explosive clash between Karoline Leavitt and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, centered on a controversial federal funding freeze and the subsequent restraining order. But to truly understand the gravity of this situation, we need to delve deeper into the core issue at stake, the dismantling of diversity, equity, and inclusion (DI) initiatives. The Trump administration's executive orders, which Leavitt referenced in her now infamous tweet, aim to eliminate DI programs across federal agencies. These orders represent a significant shift in policy, reflecting a broader conservative pushback against what they perceive as woke ideology infiltrating government institutions. The OMB memo, which initially froze the $3 trillion in federal funding, was intended to enforce these executive orders. However, its vague language and sweeping scope triggered widespread alarm. Critics argued that the freeze would disproportionately impact marginalized communities and undermine essential public services. The backlash was swift and fierce. Civil rights organizations, advocacy groups, and Democratic lawmakers condemned the administration's actions, accusing them of playing political games with people's lives. The potential consequences of the funding freeze were staggering, with concerns raised about its impact on everything from food assistance programs to infrastructure projects. The restraining order, granted by Judge McConnell, was a significant victory for those opposed to the administration's DI agenda. It sent a clear message that the courts would not tolerate attempts to bypass established legal processes and undermine essential government functions. However, the legal battle is far from over. The Trump administration has vowed to fight the restraining order, arguing that it overstepped its authority. The case is likely to wind its way through the appeals process, potentially reaching the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the political fallout continues to reverberate across the nation. The clash between Leavitt and AOC has become a symbol of the deep partisan divisions that plague American politics. Their contrasting styles and ideologies represent the stark choices facing voters in the upcoming elections. Leavitt, with her aggressive defense of the Trump administration's policies, has become a lightning rod for criticism. Her youth and relative inexperience have been used against her by opponents who portray her as a puppet of the former president. AOC, on the other hand, has embraced her role as a progressive firebrand. Her sharp rhetoric and social media savvy have made her a powerful voice for the left, but she also faces criticism for her confrontational approach. The battle over DEI initiatives is not just about policy, it's about the soul of the nation. It's a clash between competing visions of America, between those who believe in the importance of diversity and inclusion and those who see them as threats to traditional values. This fight is playing out in courtrooms, on social media, and in the halls of Congress, and its outcome will have profound implications for the future of the country. This is a story that is still unfolding. The ramifications of the funding freeze, the restraining order, and the political battle surrounding them will continue to be felt for months, if not years, to come. The next steps that the Trump administration takes will be crucial. Stay tuned because the story is far from over. We've navigated the initial clash between Leavitt and AOC and examined the core issue of the DEI battle. Now let's delve deeper into the legal labyrinth surrounding the restraining order and the political theater that continues to unfold. The legal arguments presented by both sides are complex and nuanced. The Trump administration contends that the restraining order overstepped judicial authority, arguing that the executive branch has broad discretion in managing federal funds. They assert that the OMB memo was merely an internal directive, not a legally binding regulation, and therefore not subject to judicial review. Conversely, those who sought the restraining order argue that the OMB memo and Leavitt's subsequent statements created a clear and present danger to the flow of federal funds, impacting essential programs and services. They emphasize that the administration's actions violated established administrative procedures and undermined the rule of law. The legal battle is further complicated by the ambiguity of the executive orders themselves. Critics argue that they are overly broad and lack clear guidelines, making it difficult for federal agencies to implement them effectively. This ambiguity has also fueled concerns about potential abuse of power and political interference in government operations. Beyond the legal arguments, the case has become a stage for political theater. The clash between Leavitt and AOC has captured the attention of the nation, with both figures using their platforms to rally their respective bases. Leavitt, with her staunch defense of the Trump administration, has become a symbol of conservative resistance against what they perceive as liberal overreach. AOC, with her sharp rhetoric and social media savvy, has emerged as a powerful voice for the progressive left. Her ability to connect with younger audiences and mobilize support has made her a formidable political force. The media has played a significant role in shaping the narrative, with different outlets framing the story according to their own ideological biases. This has further polarized public opinion, making it difficult to discern the facts from the spin. The ongoing legal battle is likely to have significant implications for the balance of power between the executive and judicial branches. The outcome of the case could set precedents that shape the future of federal funding and administrative law. Moreover, the political fallout from the clash between Leavitt and AOC is likely to influence the upcoming elections. The case has become a rallying cry for both sides, energizing their respective bases and highlighting the stark ideological differences that divide the nation. The legal and political ramifications are vast. This situation is more than a simple disagreement, it's a battle that will shape the political landscape. The legal and rhetorical volleys continue, and the American people watch, waiting to see what the next move will be. We've explored the legal intricacies and political maneuvering surrounding the Leavitt-AOC clash. Now, let's examine the role of public discourse and the media spectacle that has amplified this already volatile situation. The digital age has transformed political communication. Social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, have become battlegrounds for political debate, where politicians and pundits engage in direct and often unfiltered exchanges. The Leavitt-AOC feud exemplifies this trend, with both figures using social media to rally their supporters and attack their opponents. Leavitt's tweets, which played a pivotal role in the restraining order, highlight the power of social media to influence legal proceedings. Her direct and assertive language, while intended to convey the administration's resolve, ultimately backfired, providing ammunition for those seeking to challenge the funding freeze. AOC, a master of social media communication, has used her platform to amplify her message and mobilize her base. Her sharp wit and incisive commentary have resonated with younger audiences, making her a powerful voice in the digital sphere. The media, both traditional and online, has played a significant role in shaping the narrative. News outlets have framed the story according to their own ideological biases, often focusing on the personalities and rhetoric of Leavitt and AOC rather than the substantive policy issues at stake. Cable news channels have provided a platform for heated debates and partisan commentary, further polarizing public opinion. The 24/7 news cycle has amplified every twist and turn in the story, creating a sense of urgency and drama. Online news sites and blogs have also contributed to the media spectacle with clickbait headlines and sensationalized reporting. Social media algorithms have amplified the most inflammatory content, creating echo chambers where users are exposed only to information that confirms their existing biases. The public discourse surrounding the Leavitt-AOC clash has been characterized by intense polarization and a lack of nuance. Social media has facilitated the spread of misinformation and disinformation, making it difficult for citizens to discern the facts from the spin. The focus on personalities and rhetoric has often overshadowed the substantive policy issues at stake. The debate over DEI initiatives, which lies at the heart of the funding freeze, has been reduced to a battle of soundbites and social media posts. This media spectacle has had a profound impact on public opinion, further dividing the nation along partisan lines. The Leavitt-AOC feud has become a symbol of the deep divisions that plague American politics, highlighting the challenges of fostering civil discourse in the digital age. The media landscape has changed the face of politics. The way that this story has been told through various outlets has fueled the fire of an already heated situation. The public is left to wade through a sea of information, trying to find the truth within the noise. We've dissected the legal battles, political theater, and media spectacle surrounding the Leavitt-AOC clash. Now let's consider the broader implications of the story and the uncertainties that lie ahead. The clash between Karoline Leavitt and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez transcends a simple political spat. It represents a microcosm of the deep divisions that plague American society. The battle over DEI initiatives reflects a fundamental disagreement about the role of government, the meaning of equality, and the future of the nation. The legal battle over the restraining order has significant implications for the balance of power between the executive and judicial branches. The outcome of the case could set precedents that shape the future of federal funding and administrative law. If the Trump administration prevails, it could embolden future administrations to bypass established legal processes and expand executive authority. Conversely, if the courts uphold the restraining order, it could reinforce the judiciary's role as a check on executive power. The political fallout from the Leavitt-AOC feud is likely to influence the upcoming elections. The case has become a rallying cry for both sides, energizing their respective bases and highlighting the stark ideological differences that divide the nation. The outcome of the elections could determine the future of DEI initiatives and the direction of federal policy. The media spectacle surrounding the clash has exposed the challenges of fostering civil discourse in the digital age. Social media has amplified partisan rhetoric and facilitated the spread of misinformation, making it difficult for citizens to engage in informed debate. The 24/7 news cycle has created a sense of urgency and drama, often overshadowing the substantive policy issues at stake. The future of DEI initiatives remains uncertain. The Trump administration's efforts to dismantle these programs have sparked widespread backlash, but they also reflect a growing conservative pushback against what they perceive as woke ideology. The outcome of this battle will have profound implications for the composition of the federal workforce and the distribution of federal resources. The Leavitt-AOC clash serves as a reminder of the fragility of democratic institutions. The rule of law, the separation of powers, and the freedom of the press are essential pillars of American democracy. However, these pillars are constantly under strain, particularly in an era of intense political polarization and rapid technological change. As the nation grapples with these challenges, it is essential to reaffirm the importance of civil discourse, respect for the rule of law, and a commitment to the principles of equality and justice. The future of American democracy depends on our ability to bridge our divisions and find common ground.